Okay, so here's his history in the preseason, recent history. With McCarthy, he was playing in the preseason. With LaFleur, he was not. And last year, he played a little bit against the Giants. So, Greg, do you think it's a good idea not to play in the preseason?
He needs to play.
Oh, okay.
I think if you're the Jets, based on what your experience was last year, you're cautious and you're like, no, we're not going to play him. But he needs to play. And this is not just based off of Aaron Rodgers himself. This is based off of the other 10 guys. And primarily the receivers, the tackles, the offensive line, the center. It's one thing, and Coach, you can speak to this. It's one thing to develop chemistry in practice and to hear cadence in practice and to be on the same page in practice against your defense, another scheme possibly that your defensive guys are running. But you can't emulate another guy competing, trying to go after your quarterback. Another guy that doesn't care if you get this completion or staying off of the receiver or keeping him up and determining whether or not he's going to get to his depth, or trying to prevent all these timing things that need to happen, that need to be seen to take place on the football field, not in just practice, but in the game. There is a difference. And so none of these guys have experienced that with him. This dates back when, prior to his last year in Green Bay, I don't think anybody's like, yeah, he doesn't need to play. Why? Because it was a constant. There was relationship, rapport, all the things. Once he decided not to show up with those young guys in the offseason, I thought then he needs to practice. He needs to play. Coming over to the Jets last year, there's no rapport on the field of play. It is one thing, again, I will repeat, to do it in practice. It is a completely different thing to go up against live bullets. And so when they don't hear what you're going to truly check to, when the crowd noise is a little different, when the signals have to be adjusted at the last minute and it's not boosted in crowd noise and nonverbal communication needs to take place and you need to tap the line. No, go right. All those things happen at the line of scrimmage once you see the defense shift in game. You can't always mimic everything in practice.
Yeah, the thing that you're talking about is the greater good. The greater good, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the other 10 guys. He cares about himself. And with Tom Brady, Tom was coachable. Tom wanted to be coached. And even though Tom was the greatest at that position, he was open to ideas that could make him better. But for Aaron, he is just going to do whatever he wants to do, whatever's best for him. You other 10 guys, if it's not good for you, if it's not good for the coaching staff, if it's not good for anybody else, it doesn't matter because it's just about him.
So what, Wilds?
I'm just,
Coach is fired up. Coach chose violence.
How many times we have to listen like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. It's just other ways of saying, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I coach the team. I run the team. And I'm the best player there is, so whatever.
So here's the two questions I have.
Yeah.
The first one is, why would it have been the plan last year and not this year?
I agree.
I just want consistency of thought and plan. Same coaching staff, right? You know what I mean? Rodgers is, in my opinion, just as new. It would be one if he played a full season last year, and then it's like, okay, last year you were new to the team, this year you're not. So if the plan was last year for him to get just those limited reps but some reps, I would think it would be the same plan this year after 4 plays in the regular season. The other thing that I think the audience and average football fans, they have no reason to know this, but probably think the opposite is true. Nat Hackett has never called plays for Aaron Rodgers. He was the offensive coordinator, but Matt LaFleur was calling those plays. The only 4...
And he really isn't calling them now either.
Well, okay, but somebody is. Aaron might change them, but the person in his headset is going to be Nat Hackett. Aaron's got 4 plays of experience with that, and one of them, tragically ended in a torn Achilles. The point I'm making is, I think play caller, quarterback game rapport, to your point, is important. I also think it matters their first game's against the Niners.
Yeah.
Like, all of this to me speaks to a guy who has played, let's just include last year's preseason, okay? Has had 14 live bullet snaps since January of 23. And we are now, right? That would be it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're now going to be, it's probably the least football he's played in a 19-month stretch since he was 7 years old. Because even in those 3 years he sat in Green Bay, he was playing a ton in the preseasons. And so it's weird to me to not want to get snaps in the preseason. And it's weird to not want to get on the same page headset-wise with Hackett, because even, again, talk about small samples, in those tiny sample we saw in the regular season last year, before he even tore his Achilles, in those couple plays before, they were talking about on the broadcast about, or maybe it was retroactive, about these long rollouts that Hackett likes that Rodgers doesn't. There's the plays that they were running. And so I don't understand the plan. I just don't follow it.
Coach, last week, or it may have been 2 weeks ago, somewhere within 2 weeks, man, it was raining and Aaron Rodgers was out of practice. Everybody else played, but Saleh said, looking at the weather, I don't even want him out in the rain. So this felt like an overabundance of caution, and then we discussed on the show, hey, is this Achilles ready to go or not? Why is everyone else practicing? You're not even going to practice in the rain. It will be raining at some point in the season. I know it's literally the opposite philosophy that they had in New England. Good, bad weather, fantastic, we'll be out there. Do you think the Jets are just scared like no other team? Man, if he gets hurt in the preseason, as you like to say, I'm selling my house.
Yeah, I'm all for caution, and if they do think that it's a risk because the rain and he could slip and he hurts, I'm all for that too. And it's the same thing for in the preseason. If they collectively decide that that's what's best to make sure that he gets the regular season, I'm all for that as well. But it's this disconnect where he's just doing his own thing, and for him to be great, because he is a great player, but for him to be great, those other guys around him need to be good too. Those other guys around him need to help him achieve what he can achieve. And right now, it's just such the Aaron Rodgers show that it's going to be hard for those guys to buy in unless he just lights it up early. When
you were asking that question, you were looking at Coach because you were talking to him. I was looking at Greg because sometimes I get tired of looking at you.
Yes, fair.
And Greg seemed visibly angry. Disgusted is what I.
It was
what
raining,
were you? So what were you thinking there? I'm sorry.
To not practice. I forgot about that. I completely disagree with you, Coach. As a player, to hear, oh, you're not practicing today? What's up, man? Coach didn't want me to practice in the rain. What? What? Are you kidding me right now? What if we had to play? Is Coach gonna say, you know what, guys? Any other situation?
So Aaron said he
Greg,
wanted to.
I don't really even believe that it was Saleh's decision, to be honest.
Okay.
I honestly don't believe it was really his decision.
I just
anyway.
feel like if who is leading, just be honest and say, you know what? We're just going to see what Aaron wants to do all season long.
So then, hold on. For that one, though, because he came out then after the fact and said, I wanted to, Saleh wouldn't let me.
So can I push it? Then if I'm Aaron Rodgers, hey, you're not playing. I put my helmet on and I go out and I play. You're going to do what? Rip my helmet off like Myles Garrett?
Well, no. I mean, far be it for me to be the one to try to make sure we're being fair here. But I just don't know. In that instance, at least what he claimed was that Saleh was being overprotective, that if it was up to him, he would have practiced. I do find that odd, but I'm just telling you, I'm just saying what he said. But Greg, it seems like you're bothered by it no matter what.
Yeah, because as a teammate, it's you're not going to shelter me from what can potentially harm me. So don't.
And don't you think those guys are all fed up with all of this? There's so many good players in that locker room that are all looking at this going, how many concessions do we have to keep making?
The only way
and nobody
to nip
cares
it,
about me.
Coach, the only way to nip it is to allow him to be one of the guys. Like, stop excluding him from all these extra, like, things. Like,
but I don't think it's just excluding him. I think he's also got to want to be one of the guys. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, they both, like, collectively,
I agree.
It's got to be one group. It just can't be like, okay, here's
That's a great point.
and here's everybody
That's
else.
why
That's a
I've
great
always
point.
said it's a problem. Wild has a private office, and everyone else shares the
shared
conference room.
office. It's a shared
It's a
office.
shared office with
Do I have
pictures
my
of your
pictures on?
family.
No, it's not true. I have a pencil sharpener.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.